Also, warring has got to be the saddest thing that I've ever seen. And the reason I say this is because a lot of people are looking at the data to try to one up or clown the other person, saying my platform is better than yours, your platform did this worse than mine, rather than actually saying, hey man, from the consumer perspective, where are the benefits for those of us who are spending our money on these platforms? I've been looking very carefully online and I've seen this particular data set show its head about how there's been $54.5 million spent on Steam from Marvel Rivals, $27.2 million for PlayStation, $2.7 million for Xbox, $100 million overall when including Chinese NetEase servers via GameLook. When wondering, how GameLook came about, the estimates, it's a very nonsensical way of actually calculating the estimates. Now, I couldn't be bothered about what the numbers are. But what's very interesting is there are people all over the place fighting about this stuff. Oh, this is to show that Xbox spends way less money on all of this stuff. You see, this is to show that PlayStation players spend more money on this stuff than the other guy. And I'm looking and going, this has got to be a sad reality. Because what has happened is this data set is showing the weekly engagement of users for these games. Now, I have always categorized this is exactly the reason why single player games are struggling. Because these games, and more of them, by the way, this is the top 15 for 3 platforms that report, on here how many players are, engaging the platform. But this is why single player games can't get any light. This also has, in my opinion, basically helped me to hypothesize that that's why entities like PlayStation is bringing more and more of their games to more platforms that people can actually find those games and play. Also makes sense why even Xbox themselves are expanding across the reach because the live service games have just taken over everybody's time. But by golly, would you look at the fighting all over the place? People are fighting over this stuff. Oh, this means that PlayStation fans are not paying, spending more money or are spending more money than Xbox fans, blah, blah, blah. Now everybody is interested in data when it suits their little bitty narrative. This is the problem that you have when it comes down to it. Instead of looking at the overall industry, instead of looking very carefully at what may be happening, this is pretty much what it is that they're doing. Now, if you're a PlayStation fan and this data set has come your way and you are tempted to use it to flex, beware that this is not the flex that you think it is. Be very careful. Let me teach you game. Because you see, many of you're quick to jump into the river and follow the Pied Piper without thinking critically. Because you're hyper fans, you're on the internet, you're jumping, and I've seen some of your comments on here. I was going to basically drag you over the coals, but I said, you know what? It's Sunday, the Lord's Day. Let me be nice. Number one, if you jump on this particular number, you have to realize that your platform, in that regard, is already one platform that's getting all of the accusers of you're only a live service machine. That's literally it. Xbox is getting the same accusations as well too. But you have no ground anymore to claim that, oh my goodness, we are playing and buying all our single player games. Because look at how much money that you're basically being, reported to have spent. This is the PlayStation platform on one game, Marvel Rivals. And guess what? This is for skins, guys. This isn't a $30 DLC. If this is true, and I know that this is nonsensical, but I'm just saying, do not face the temptation of trying to flex with this data set. It's a trap. Many times I've seen these hyper PlayStation fanboys. They're not considering what they're trying to do. They jump right into these things that they see may be a potential win. And they want to go ahead and say, yes, this shows that PlayStation has market share. My dude, this is not the market share that you want to brag about because you have been facing accusations that all people play on y'all's platform is Fortnite, Call of Duty, GTA 5, and now the new free-to-play Marvel Rivals, and now y'all want to use it. I'm talking to people that are relegated on this, thread. Y'all want to use it to, brag and beat your chest? Come on now. I would not do that. I would not do that. Because the weekly active users, yes, and I will say this, You can draw a correlation with these particular games and the spending. Yes, because we can look at different data sets. Yes, we can draw that conclusion. In fact, if we go from PC and move all the way down to PlayStation, we'll be able to see that Steam's best of 2024. And if you look at, let's just do some data. Let me show you some, they say, causation is not, correlation, blah, 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 blah. But I'm saying let's draw a picture. Let's see if we can solve a puzzle. If we look at Helldivers 2 here, it was ranking on the top, 10, top 15 almost every week on PC. When the Steam Best 2024 releases came out, it was not surprising that it was one of the highest grossing games on Steam overall. Funny enough, Destiny 2 only ranked back and forth minimally. And again, Bungie does not necessarily, I don't know how they do their reporting, but we didn't necessarily see a lot of, Destiny show up. I mean, it showed up for a while, but it still grossed a lot, right? Black Myth Wukong made it into the PC side for just a little bit, but then it disappeared. But it still grossed a lot. We can almost even dial it to the number of in terms of how much money it made. So you can draw those little tidbits. Power World, it was basically vibing at the time it launched, but its launch was very sudden, and it was a game that you sold right off the bat. So it grossed a lot of money. Yes, if we come to the PlayStation side in this regard, right? And we look at, say, even the statistics that showed us that Call of Duty had some of the higher spending of its revenue on the consoles on the PlayStation side. Now you look and say, well, Call of Duty had been ranking, this is Call of Duty HQ, had been ranking almost every week in the top 3, top 5. It can basically give you a sense as to how players are also spending their money. One other final statistic, and I think is a measure to basically judge this, is that EA makes about 70% of its revenue simply from microtransactions. And when you look very carefully, even across Xbox and PlayStation, you will notice that there are at least 3, sometimes 4 EA games ranking in this particular list. FC 2025, Madden NFL, and the EA, college sports 25, college football 25. On both sides, Xbox and PlayStation, you'll realize that both games are ranking, and then by and large, FC 2024 or whatever it is will come in and get the job done. So football, both of them are on the top, and then the soccer comes in from time to time. So across the board, that's 3 games. Well, it's the same game, but ranking in 6 slots across both platforms. I think that is a sound and sensible way to interpret data overall. Minecraft has sold, I think it sold about 300 million units or something silly like that. Yeah. So that one, because of the way the game is, because of the way the game is structured and different games across the board, you can also take and say, yes, there is some kind of an understanding that this is what's going on. In fact, let's look at a less, popular to many of us game, War Thunder, World of Planes. Best of 2024. Where's War Thunder, World of Planes? Right here. Right? It's in the top grossing list, but it's in the gold category. So even though it did not make it in the highest category, and games like Wukong and, the single player game Helldivers 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 probably raked in more revenue than it did not make it into the top list, but it showed up on this ranking list. So its ranking is also kind of fluid. So back and forth, you can kind of tell what's going on. I think that's a very interesting and a wise way to basically be meticulous with the data. That yes, in some cases you can see what's going on. You can draw a thread if it works out for you, or you can see maybe from other industry reports. But this whole, let's go flex and say, oh, because PlayStation sells more consoles, we're winning in buying of skins. Come on now. You guys are crazy trying to think that this is some kind of flex. Because again, remember, PlayStation fans have built their, ethos on, we play our single-player games. Our single-player games are the best. We've been trying to tell you that y'all single-player games don't really sell that much because live service games are taking y'all's money, and you guys are over here trying to celebrate this whole thing about, about a live service game making basically $27 million on y'all's platform. Like PC, Steam can get away with it because, everyone's crazy on Steam. Nobody cares. Steam is wild all over the place. But look, the memes are coming out. Everyone's like, this is the saddest thing ever. This is the saddest thing ever that I've seen in my life. PC Master Race, Xbox is dead, LMAO. Look at the childishness going on this platform. because now everybody has seen some data sets that how did they even come about the data set and how they basically did their calculation. Look at this. Someone said this is how they calculate their data. As for the platform, the Xbox platform, constraining the review data, the user review data of Marvel's Confrontation is only 1/10 that of the PlayStation platform. Marvel's Confrontation is currently not among the top 15 of the Xbox selling list in US estimates. The estimated revenue of Xbox for the first month may only be around 20 million yuan. This is how they basically got the Xbox data. They took user reviews. Yeah, if you believe this, I have a bridge to sell you. You know, I don't even subscribe. Come buy my bridge if you truly believe that this data set makes any sense. Yet, there are people who are carrying this thing on their heads. They will come talk to you on YouTube. They'll come talk to you and let you subscribe to them and give them money so that they can pretty much foment lies to you. Can you imagine that? Like, they just guessed. They literally pulled it out of their anal sphincter and posted it on Facebook. I said Facebook. Look at me. My age is betraying me. On Twitter, and a lot of people are over there eating it up. Yeah. Horse manure. That's what they served up. What a terrible, 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 terrible thing that you can see here if you go on the internet. Don't go on Twitter, guys. Shout out to the audience members who told me to go start a Twitter account. I've been able to, learn something new, but I would not recommend it to anybody who is not, in a sense, talking about a broader range of a very, very small vocal minority. Peace out.